But I wanted to get a few photography tips from you too. Do you feel like most of the people are you working with, are they amateurs just looking to capture their vacations and stuff? Are they trying to take shots and start a travel blog or sell the pictures and be professionals? There's a lot of things you can do in photography. Where do you find the sweet spot from, just getting a good picture to being a professional paid, artist?
Yeah, so the people that are coming on my trips these days are very casual photographers. They enjoy photography, they want to take better photos, but they also want to appreciate the place, learn about it, the history, the food, people, culture. So photography is a part of the trip, where with like a photo workshop, that is the trip. And so I really try to encourage people to get those memories, but also get the mental memories that you'll always have, those experiences for the rest of your life.
So I appreciate photography, but I can't say that I'm very good at it or know what I'm doing at all. It seems to me a little bit of the professionals that I've watched, especially in like sports photography or vacations and things, is you just take a lot of pictures and then hopefully you get that moment where somebody's smiling and looking and nobody in the family was blinking and stuff. And it's a quantity thing, but I'm sure you have some quality tips for us too. Facing the light, basic things. But is there anything that is again like a common misconception that people don't think about that you think would be like just make an instant difference in their pictures?
Yeah, it's a good point. We call that spray and pray. You just spray a bunch of photographs and you pray something comes out. And there's something to be said about that. Of course, with like moving subjects and markets and people walking and like you say, even family portraits where you got 30 people and you want to make sure that everyone's someone's not blinking, so you take a lot of pictures, and that's okay. Professional photographers tend to take a lot of pictures, especially nowadays with digital. We just show you the best ones.
Good point. Yeah.
So we're taking just as many, if not more, pictures than most. But I often try to show both the good and bad photographs because I'm trying to teach people, what is a bad photograph, and we certainly, even as professionals, make bad photography. But some basic tips that I always talk about that anyone can use with any kind of camera is number one, watch your backgrounds. Make sure that proverbial telephone pole isn't coming out of someone's head, or even foregrounds, what's happening in front of and behind your subject. Because especially as new photographers, we tend to maybe get a little bit nervous and we want to take pictures very quickly because we don't want to bother the person. And so I say make sure that you're putting that person at ease. You get a couple good shots, but also looking not just focusing on the subject and forgetting about what's happening behind them and in front of them. So that's something that over time I've become very aware of, and I can immediately see something that's going on in the background. Now, it still happens, of course, that maybe I get a little nervous or I'm shooting
Somebody
very
gets bent
quickly.
over on the beach and photo bombs you right in the
Yeah,
middle of the.
exactly. Yeah, something you just didn't know. But yeah, that's something else too that I say that can go with you and against you. So, maybe you don't want that telephone pole coming out of someone's head, but you do want that Tuareg tribesman on a camel in the background going across the dune, but with someone else in the foreground. So that adds something to that shot that, could have been just a portrait, but now it's an environmental portrait that tells you a lot more about what's happening in that scene. So those are things that I try to teach and that really come with experience. The other thing you mentioned earlier is being aware of the quality and direction of light, how it's landing on your subject. Unfortunately, I'm not in the best lighting conditions right here. It's very harsh light right overhead, but I don't have any natural light, and I'm in the basement actually. Um, what else? I like to tell people to create to tell a story. As photographers, we're storytellers. That's what we're doing. We go to these wonderful places. We want to come back with interesting images that tell our friends and family what we saw, what we experienced when we were there. But I also created an iPhone app about 12 or 14 years ago that unfortunately is no longer on the App Store because it's sort of been updated out. With all the
Yeah.
updates, it doesn't no longer works, and I honestly just wasn't willing to spend more money to keep it up there. Um, but it was about creating a well-rounded set of images. It was a shot list. It was called My Shot Lists for Travel, and I did turn that
Oh, that's
app
cool.
into a book because I wanted people to still get that information. So it's a book on Amazon called 52 Categories of a Shot List. So it's 52 categories or genres of photography, like the typical landscape, architecture, people, but also recreation, night scenes, interiors, things that you might not
I
think about.
love that. You could use it as a scavenger hunt for your vacation. That's cool.
It really is, and it was created so that you had a checklist. And I said, if you got 5 good images in 30 of those categories, because they're not all going to apply to every place you go to, you got 150 solid images that tell the story of that place, and it's not just all selfies and pictures of plated food.
I love that. I did want to ask you one question. Last question about photography, then we'll play a game and get out of here. But um, you kind of mentioned setting up the shot. And when you're thinking about telling the story, are you trying to capture the story as is, as like candids, or on the other side, like set up and really like tell a story as your story that you're trying to create and tell? How do you balance the difference between like candid and set up shots?
Yeah, I would say I try to shoot 90 to 95% candid, and maybe 5% set up. But sometimes you kind of have to. Like those wonderful frog pictures that you see, the red-eyed tree frogs in Costa Rica and stuff. Those are often set up because those frogs are typically on the underside of a leaf at night, so they might have to be placed on top or on a different thing. So sometimes those are set up, but I much prefer photography that is candid because when let's say you walk up to someone and you want to photograph them because they have an interesting face. As soon as you start talking to them, it's going to change the dynamics. And
Mhm.
I'm not trying to sneak shots where I'm trying to disrespect someone, but as soon as I say, "Would it be okay if I take a photograph of you?" Either they're gonna smile, yeah, they're gonna go this, yeah, it's gonna change the whole environment. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not a good look.
No,
That's
so
awesome. Well, that's great tips. I really appreciate you playing along.